Good morning, Accelerators organization. Happy to be with you guys. My name is Joel Gandara. I'm an entrepreneur, retired from daily life, and now I simply coach people. Not so much for the money, but because it's absolutely what I love to do. And I'm excited. I read your questions in advance. Looking forward to answering all of those. Um, let's see. There aren't very many of them, but first one's from Ricardo Delgado. The question is, what are some practical ways to build relationships in business? And he says here, I own a barbershop and want to continue building relationships in my field. Are there any suggestions on how to do this effectively in any industry? Great question, Ricardo. I think we get caught up in the technical parts of our business, but not those soft skills. And this is what this is. It's understanding it's all people. So this is a multi-part question, even if you're not aware, but you say to build relationships in business. You may think, well, that means with customers, or that may mean it's with all of them. It's with customers, it's with the barbers in your shop, it's with competitors in your space. And what do I mean by that, and why do I say that? Um, so customers. So many times I've gone into businesses where the owner is right there, but he does not acknowledge customers. Why not every once in a while say, hey, how you doing? And thanks for coming and that sort of thing. Hopefully you do that already. That's a smart practice because I like to go to businesses where I feel like I know the owner and I have a relationship with them because now it's a friend and I don't want to not give my friend business, right? Years ago, I used to go to a restaurant when I was younger in Miami with my wife. We were newly married and they had a very cheap lunch special. So we would go at least once a week to this place. And the owner would always be behind the glass counter, just sitting there and looking at the people in the restaurant. So at this point, we'd probably been there 20 times when I said to my wife, that guy has never come over and said hello to us. He sees us come in here every single day. Well, a few months later, the place closed down. Been there for a few years, but anyway, that's not a good approach. So as far as the customers go, build those relationships, and that's simple. It's greeting them and talking to them and telling them thank you for coming because they could go anywhere else. So whether it's like what you have, a barbershop that you own, or restaurants or whatever it may be in touch with the customers. Now, a little more difficult in e-commerce, for example, if you're running an e-commerce site, a little difficult to make contact with that. Now, if you're in a B2B business, absolutely you can do that. Um, what else? So your employees, Ricardo, there's an opportunity to build tremendous relationships so they never leave because they get offered more money elsewhere. What you want to do, here's what I found with my employees, I've built great relationships by caring about them and coaching them. So I tell all my employees, look, I get paid a lot of money to coach people. For you, it's free because you're part of my organization and because I care about you. So what does that mean? I ask them what their goals are, what do they want to accomplish in their life, um, what their challenges are. And by doing that, they really feel like, wow, my boss cares about me. And they're less likely to leave and they're more likely to work harder for you and see your vision. So I'd keep that open communication. A lot of entrepreneurs complain that their employees just don't get it and they just don't have the same vision. Well, number one, you're the one being rewarded for everything, so that you're going to care about it a lot more. Number two, are you having those conversations and one-on-one and explaining the process with them and talking about them? Once they see that you care about them, they're going to care about you and care about your business. And then the last part of this question, my answer to it about building relationships is with competitors. So I've bought 14 businesses. Of those, 13 were not for sale. They weren't listed. One of them was on the Shopify marketplace and I bought it there. But the other ones were all relationships that I built primarily with competitors. And I did that over many years. You have to tread lightly because you're not going to your competitor and saying, hey, I might want to acquire your business. Show me your financials. It's not like that. That's a hard way to approach it. But rather, I've handwritten letters to all these competitors over many years, sent them a little Starbucks card in the mail if they're across the country and I can't go take them to coffee. But I'd say, hey, if we were local, I'd invite you to coffee more often. But here's a card. And, that really builds a good relationship over time. If they're local competitors, why not think of those as future target acquisitions? It's a lot better to have two barbershops than one, especially if they're nearby, because now you cut out competition to be real close to you. You own that space. Imagine in an area there's 4 barbershops and you own 2 of them. You're 50% of the business there. And then you buy that third one. You're knocking them out. You might even then knock out that other one because you set up a rewards program between those 3 barbershops. And what happens? That 1/4 one that you're all competing for is on its own and it's a one-man shop. So just some thoughts. I know that's different. Most barbers are probably not thinking that way, but that's the way I see it. Uh, And those are, I hope those 3 tips, I tried to cover 3 different areas where you can build relationships that will improve your business. All right, next question is from Rohit Gupta. What do you do for high risk fraud orders? I sell exotic snacks and drinks. We get high risk fraud orders from time to time on Shopify, and sometimes they seem to be true. We got one from my country, and not sure if it's a scam or not. It was a $200 order and tipped us $20. We just don't want to lose money. Rohit, I own multiple e-commerce sites, so I know how that could be. It's very frustrating that you work so hard to be in business, and then you get a $500 order, in this case a $200 order, and then it's fraud. And guess what? You've sent off all the products, shipped it and everything, and then the money gets taken away, and you get like a $20 charge, I think, for a chargeback because they use someone's credit card, and it's all illegal. It's not your fault, but here you lost all those products, you got no money, and you got a $20 fee on top of that, and you get enough of those, they could kick you off. The credit card companies could say, you look like you're fraudulent, we're not going to work with you. Very frustrating. So it's so hard to do the right thing, work so hard, invest, take risks, and then bad guys come and do this to you. So on high ticket orders, first of all, we put in some criteria. I think you say you have Shopify. Let's see. Yeah, you said you have Shopify. There may be some ways, because we've built it, whether it's our team who built that out for us or it's something on Shopify, where you could pause orders so that you can look at them. In my business, we could process 500-600 orders in one day, and with an average order value of about $60 just on the apparel businesses. And it's hard. Nobody's catching those, right? So what we do, nobody's looking at each order. There's a lot of them coming through, and they're small. So what we do is we have it built in where it puts it on hold and notifies, hey, this order just got put on hold because it's, and I think for us, it's like, if it's over $150, it's a first-time customer, and I don't know what other criteria, it gets put on hold. And that, we could just generate an automatic email and say to the person, hey, you got caught as fraud by our system. So it's not us. The credit card company said this might be fraud. We just want to protect you, and we want to make sure everything's okay. Could you please verify something, right? And we have them respond. You could also pick up the phone and call them. You can also Google the person. I've done this before. We've gotten some very big orders, $1,000 plus. And you Google the person and you find some stuff. And you say, oh, okay, well, here it all makes sense. Here's their LinkedIn. They're in that area. Whatever the criteria. You find a lot on Google. But yeah, reaching out to customers, probably the most secure one, because most fraudsters are probably not going to have a conversation with you and verify a couple of things. We've even said, can you please send us a picture of your driver's license? We just want to verify nobody's trying to cheat you. But that's the perspective. It's not, hey, it looks like you're trying to cheat us. No, that's not the way to treat it. It's just going to say, forget it, cancel my order. Say, hey, we're worried about your safety. We want to make sure nobody's stealing your credit card information. And the credit card company just put a flag on it and said someone might be using it. We just want to make sure. That's it. A fraudulent person probably is not going to go through that, and they'll drop it, and you can cancel the order. A good person will probably say, oh, thank you for looking out for me. Here's my information, hopefully. Right? And sometimes you may have to lose some good orders sometimes, as much as that hurts. All right, another question from Rohit Gupta. How many different items should we have at vendor events? We sell exotic snacks and drinks from around the world. We've noticed people can't make up their mind as many different and unique items and eventually leave for that reason. We have about 5 to 6 items per category. So Rohit, I forget the term, but it's kind of an exhaustion on decision making when you give a consumer too many options. I saw a documentary once about an ice cream shop that had 50 flavors, let's call it. And people would walk out and they polled them, do you think you made the right choice? And very often people said, no, I don't think that I did, right? They chose whatever, their favorite of those 50, and they never felt like they made the right decision. Now you go to an ice cream shop with 3 flavors, let's call it vanilla, chocolate, and strawberry, and then you poll the people as they walk out, did you choose the right flavor? And overwhelmingly, people say, yes, I did, absolutely, because their options were limited. Now, you're at a vendor event, you're trying to catch them as they walk by and make a quick decision. Don't overload them with multiple items in the category. All you're doing is competing with yourself, plus you're hauling a lot of stuff to those events. When I started out my businesses, I did a lot of those type of events, and I kept it really simple. People want simplicity. No, there's complicated people. If you bring this item, they're going to want the other one. They're always like that. And you know what? I used to see that when I was grinding it out when I was very young and I would do flea markets, uh, I noticed that people would say, those complicated people who would say, here's, oh, you have this? Yeah, no, thanks. I was looking for this. And then I'd say, hold on. And I'd go to the trunk of my car and go, here it is, exactly what you wanted. And now they had a new excuse for it. So you're never going to please everybody. Some people are there to waste your time and just talk. But don't complicate it for the good customers. Don't give them 1,000 options. They don't want that. They want to make a choice and move on, and you want to make the sale. So try to limit that. You're saying 5 to 6 items per category. See what happens if you do 2 or 3, and that's a good experiment. I don't know what the magic number is for you and your industry and your events, but try that. Just lower it a little bit. I can tell you, you're going to have a lot less to haul and a lot less to put back afterwards. After the show's done, you have all these items you got to put back into your inventory. All right, next question is from Ricardo Delgado. Would you recommend someone to have a trust fund set up? As I'm getting older, these questions are something to think about, especially for business owners. If any mentors have experience with this, I would appreciate any feedback if it's necessary, in your opinion. Ricardo, I have all of that. I have a living trust and a trust fund, and I have all my assets in there, and it's something worth looking at, but I'm not the person to advise you on that. Obviously, if you talk to an attorney who does that, their answer is always yes. Whether you have 100 million in assets or you have $10 in assets, they'll probably find a way to get the business because they want to work and they want to make money. Try to find somebody try to find somebody who's a little bit more knowledgeable in that exact space who can provide you some guidance. Hopefully, they're not just trying to make a buck, because then they will always guide you in a particular direction. Let's see. I would think through the reasons that you want to do this. There's some expenses to setting it up, a little bit more complications on the way you have to name assets when you acquire them, or shifting assets into that fund's name. So again, I don't have I don't have any of the answers. That's not my expertise. But the primary thing is, why do you want to do it? Go through that in your mind, and is it to leave something for my kids? Is it to make sure that they don't waste it all? So like in our case, for our 4 kids, we have it all outlined. If tomorrow my wife and I were to die at 25 years old, they get a portion of it. They get 30, another portion at 40, another. And you set up these things. It's basically so that your money's not blown when it's time to give it to your kids, assuming you're not around. If you're around, then you have a lot of that control. Next question here. Actually, the last one. Today's a short session. Kelly Killingsworth. How do I become a better person and treat people better? And how do I learn to communicate as a business owner? How do I learn to communicate with key leadership mentors in my circle? Owner of Kelco Construction LLC, we are an excavation and trucking contractor for the dirt world in Northern California. Background. It is imperative that I learn to communicate with my mentors, advisors, leaders, banks, etc. Something must have happened to me in the past that changed me in not a good way. I need to figure out what that is, face it, and learn to treat people better, especially the people trying to help me out. Yeah, Kelly, if you want to struggle in life, don't treat people well. If you want to really struggle, don't treat people well. The ones who are really trying to help you, look, I congratulate you for making this observation about yourself. A couple of things that come to mind. Number one is a book, How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. This is exactly what you're looking for based on the things you're writing in here. It's how to win people over and get people to love you and get people to want to help you. And then obviously, then it's up to you not to push them away. Definitely don't do that. Why would you hurt yourself and shoot yourself in the foot? So that book, that should be required reading in every middle school or high school because it's a life changer. So read that book, apply its lessons. The next thing is, and I don't say this one because I am a coach. I say this one because you need a coach, whoever that is. Talk to Sean Thomas. Let him guide you in the direction of finding the best coach for you. But and it's a coach that you have chemistry with and who's had success in what you want to succeed at. Yeah, relationships are very important. Earlier in this same mentor session, there was a question about how to build that. So take a look at that as well. But yeah, find a coach because somebody's got to hold you accountable. Somebody's got to go through these conversations that you're having with people and break them down. And even be on phone calls with you sometimes, whether it's openly that they're on there or just privately they're staying back in the background listening muted. And then they could write down some notes and critique what you're doing and help you improve on that. But don't let this go by because this is more important than knowing your craft. You could be great in your excavation industry and all of that, but if you're not treating people right, you're number one going to shoot yourself in the foot and lose business. Number two, you're not going to live a very fulfilled life because you're not building a really good relationship. So when it's all said and done, you're going to be very lonely, not having built good relationships within your industry and around you in your life. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining me. Thank you for the questions. Not very many of them today, but I'm happy to provide value wherever I can. Again, my name is Joel Gandara. Look forward to connecting with you guys online and helping out in any way that I can. Have a great day.